What is up, guys? It is AJ from MMA Experts, and we are talking about the fight between Cheick Kongo and Timothy Johnson. This being the rematch between these two Bellator heavyweights. Also the first fight in France for Bellator, one of the first MMA events in France as well. For Cheick Kongo, this is homecoming fight. He takes on Timothy Johnson here. Let's get into the matchup. In round number one, we saw pretty much all Timothy Johnson. He was able to get the fight to the mat. He looked very good. You can see here, he's on top of Cheick Kongo. Not the best graphic there. I do apologize. Timothy Johnson's head got a little bit blurry in the image, but on top most of the round, was close, maybe to finishing the fight early, but Kongo gets up. He's a seasoned veteran. He was able to last that first round, but still, for me, it was a dominant round for Timothy Johnson. He had him up against the cage and took him to the mat. He was also taken down once as well, but he got right back up to his feet, and he definitely won that first round. But round number two starts, and after the dominant round, Cheick Kongo really needed to turn it up because he was getting beat, pretty much handily, I would say, against Timothy Johnson in the first, and he does. In round number two, you see a big punch landed there by Cheick Kongo. He was actually able to do fairly well in the clinch and then land some big punches. Granted, Timothy Johnson looked to be winning that second round. He seemed on the way to winning round number two, but Kongo turns it up towards the end of the round, lands some beautiful punches, reverses some clinch positions, and I scored the second round for Cheick Kongo 10-9. Going into round three, it was very competitive. I believe it was whoever wins round three would win the fight. The judges did agree at the end. Let's look at round number three. More of the same for Timothy Johnson. Now, Kongo was able to try to fire off a few strikes, was looking to clinch a bit, but I think he was a little bit too relaxed in that third round. He didn't go forward as hard as he should have. Timothy Johnson also landed a really big hook inside of the clinch that made Cheick Kongo go back towards the cage. And then we see Timothy Johnson pressuring and winning that fight fairly handily in round three. I mean, it was competitive and close, but I edged it out to Tim Johnson 10-9. And I felt that Tim Johnson definitely deserved the decision victory. My scorecard read 29-28 for Tim Johnson. The judges also agreed. They gave Tim Johnson a split decision. One judge, though, did have it for Cheick Kongo. Personally, I disagree with that. I thought Tim Johnson deserved the victory, and I'm very happy he was able to get the win. For Cheick Kongo is sad. It's his homecoming fight in Paris, France, and he does lose a split decision, but it is a competitive fight. And he will, I think, be back for probably one more fight. I don't think he retires after this, though. He is 45 years of age. But what is next for both men? First, let's talk Tim Johnson. I mean, he's on a win streak now, 3 in a row. In my opinion, in this heavyweight division, I'm going to pull up the opponent that should be next for him. I think that a lot of people will agree with this. I really do. And I think we do Ryan Bader title fight. Here's why. Ryan Bader coming off a loss, losing his light heavyweight belt. He wants to come back up to heavyweight, and I think Tim Johnson is a perfect matchup to see where he stands now at heavyweight. He's going to have the speed advantage. The wrestling is going to be competitive, and Timothy Johnson will also be the bigger guy. Obviously, in that matchup, he's much heavier. I think it's a fun fight. I think it's a competitive one. I think it could go either way, and I really think that for Ryan Bader, it would be the right fight to take coming off that brutal second-round knockout loss where he lost the title, and I feel like that this matchup with Tim Johnson is very winnable for Bader, but also for Tim Johnson. And I feel with 3 wins in a row, the title shot could certainly be next for him. Now, if not the title shot, I do have a backup option that I think Bellator would maybe consider. I think you guys may agree as well. And that would be Vitaly Minakov. The rematch, their first fight, handily, Vitaly Minakov was able to defeat Timothy Johnson, though he has not fought since then. I can quickly pull up the graphic of that first fight. Brutal shots landed. He was slammed. It was a one-sided beating. Vitaly Minakov is definitely in the mix for a title, I believe, but he's just not active enough. I know he was supposed to fight in 2019, but then something happened with that. I don't remember exactly, but he has been out of the cage since. I think a potential rematch could happen, if not the title shot. Personally, my first option is title shot. Second option, though, I will say is the Vitaly Minakov rematch. Now, if I am Cheick Kongo, I want another fight. I don't think he's going to go out with the loss like that by split decision. I do think he comes back. He's 45 years of age, but he's still got something left in the tank. He's an absolute freak. Who is the next opponent for Cheick Kongo? To me, You do the Vitaly Minakov rematch, or actually the trilogy fight. Cheick Kongo and Minakov are 1-1 against one another. Cheick Kongo is the last man and only man to defeat Vitaly Minakov. Yes, he's coming off the split decision loss to Tim Johnson, but I think that this is the fight to make. You do Kongo versus Vitaly Minakov. This most likely is the only fight that I feel like Cheick Kongo would be interesting in taking. I don't think there's really any other name that really is going to get his attention. I don't think you want to give him guys too far back in the Bellator heavyweight rankings that are unknown. Cheick Kongo carries a very big name. And unless it's a UFC signee or another fighter coming out of retirement, or Josh Barnett maybe coming to Bellator or something like that, I don't believe you give Cheick Kongo anybody else besides Vitaly Minakov. I think the trilogy is the fight to make. So both guys could potentially be fighting Vitaly Minakov next. Obviously, if Johnson's booked first, they won't do the Kongo fight. The reason I prefer Vitaly Minakov versus Cheick Kongo over Minakov versus Timothy Johnson is simply the handily beating that Minakov gave to Johnson, but also it would kill a title contender for Ryan Bader if Minakov went out and rematched against Timothy Johnson and dominated him again. Obviously, Vitaly Minakov is next in line, but if Tim Johnson gets the title fight, whatever happens between those two, and then you do Cheick Kongo versus Minakov, whoever wins the Minakov-Kongo fight could probably find themselves in a title shot, even if Kongo was coming off the loss to Timothy Johnson. I mean, they're 1-1 against each other. It was a split decision. I feel like the winner of Vitaly Minakov versus Cheick Kongo would be the next challenger to the belt after Timothy Johnson. I believe Timothy Johnson gets the next title shot. I believe you do Kongo versus Minakov 3. I want to see the trilogy. To be honest with you guys, I think Vitaly Minakov has a very good chance of winning that fight, and I do believe he will eventually be fighting for the Bellator title again if he plans on fighting again. I mean, he's been a bit inactive, and I know they've had contract disputes. He was the champ for a long time, and then he left. He comes back, loses. I mean, a lot of people said the decision was a bit controversial, maybe against Cheick Kongo. It was a toss-up fight. It was a while back. I'd have to rewatch it. But I do want to see the trilogy between these two, because we know Vitaly Minakov is a very high-level mixed martial artist. And also, I mean, Ryan Bader versus Timothy Johnson is a great matchup, and maybe a tune-up fight for Ryan Bader if he's able to quickly get through Tim Johnson. We're going to see, and I feel like there's a lot of fun in this Bellator heavyweight division, but the matchups need to be done very carefully and correctly to avoid killing off contenders in a fairly thin weight class. In MMA in general, heavyweight fairly thin. You win a couple fights, you're right at the top, but especially Bellator's heavyweight division, they need to sign more fighters, they need to build it more, but right now they need to be very smart about matchmaking, and that's why I chose these matchups. But alright guys, that is pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you like, subscribe to the channel, turn on my post notifications. Also guys, follow my social media, Instagram, Twitter, and I will see you all in the next video.